3.
Good afternoon, Mr. Joseph R. Waker Jr. First, let me thank you for allowing us to come into your home today to interview you. Would you please tell everyone why you decided to create the website bikersunited.us?
Well, bikersunited.us became because I was the #1 promoter of the Bike Fest for Atlantic Beach for 2014. And there was some statements made and some things that happened on Myrtle Beach that had nothing to do with Bike Fest 2014 at Atlantic Beach.
Okay. While reading about you, I noticed you received your motorcycle and your motor vehicle driver's license at the age of 14. Would you please tell us how that happened?
Oh, in the state of Alabama, in the early 70s, there was a thing, if you got your motorcycle driver's license, you could wait 2 weeks later. You can go back and get your motor driver's license, your motor vehicle driver's license. So that's what I did. Since I had been driving for a long period of time, motorcycles and cars, I went ahead, got my motorcycle license, and 2 weeks later, went and got my driver's license.
Great. I also noticed on your site you graduated from high school and college on the same day. How did that happen?
And that was quite unique. There was a program that they started when I was in junior high school, actually, that carried over to high school, and it was a partial year ordeal where they had a black boy, which was myself, and then I had a friend, Mike Gillum, was a white guy, and we was friends in junior high and even elementary school. We used to ride bicycles and motorcycles together. And then there was another guy, I can't remember his name, but they started a program to see how it was going to work between basically the blacks and the whites. And after going to school for the whole period of time, they didn't recognize that I had not graduated from high school yet. And in order to graduate from college, I should have graduated from high school.
Right.
So there was a conflict between the high school and the college, going back and forth to decide whether I was going to graduate or not. Well, after a long ordeal and a long fight, a lot of the students at the college was not going to graduate unless I did. So I graduated from college in the morning, and later on that evening, I graduated from high school.
Wow, that's great. So, do you remember your first trip to Bike Week at Atlantic Beach?
Oh, yeah, it was wonderful. Years and years of watching the white bikers go by, and from the south to the north on Highway 17. My father was from Charleston, South Carolina, but he lived on Highway 17 in a little town called McClellanville, South Carolina, which we call Tilden. And for years, we watched the white bikers go from the Florida side or Charleston side to Georgetown side. And my father and them used to talk about it. A lot of the people that worked in that area worked on the hotels and the motels in Myrtle Beach and North Myrtle Beach. So they explained that to us when we was kids. And then growing up, in 1980, there was myself and 13 other guys that went from the McClellanville, South Carolina area to the first Bike Fest at Atlantic Beach, South Carolina. And was that nice?
Okay, so was that your little bike club you guys formed?
It wasn't a bike club. It was just a lot of guys that we got together, and we just rode from McClellanville to Atlantic Beach. Now, I did have a motorcycle club when I was a teenager growing up. It was called the Street Runners, and I created that in Ozark when we was dealing with my cousin and several other friends had motorcycles, and I was one of the first boys that had a motorcycle. And leading from that, that's why I was involved in the motor vehicle department as far as the technical part for motorcycle technology.
Okay, great. Now, would you please tell everyone when and why you decided to get involved in promoting Bike Week?
Well, my father died on November 30th of 2013. My father was buried. We had his funeral on December the 7th of 2013. And two friends came to me, not one friend, but two friends. A young lady that I dated in 1981 when I graduated from high school and college. I care not to call her name at this time. She came to me and she told me what was going on. She knew I was one of the first ones to ride on Bike Fest at Atlantic Beach. So she explained to me what was going on, and she wanted to see if there was something that I might be able to do to help these people out, knowing that my love for this Black Beach. And then it was another person that I didn't know. She was introduced to me by one of my cousins through marriage. And she told me the same identical thing. So I took the feet up to go see what was going on. And I did, and I met with some of the council on Atlantic Beach and gave them my proposal, and I didn't hear back from them. So that's why, how I was involved with the whole promotional thing of Atlantic Beach, Myrtle Beach Speedway.
Okay. How do you think Bike Week is different today than it was when you went the very first time in 1980?
Well, in 1980 when we went, it was a big celebration. There was limos, there was the girls, everybody was just getting along. Everybody get along now. But the atmosphere was just different. We knew that was the only place we could ride our motorcycles like that. Now it's quite different because we can ride our motorcycles and stuff wherever we want to ride them, basically. Mm-hmm. But it's still not the same type of atmosphere because sometimes we can be our own worst enemies. You know what I'm saying? But nothing happened on Atlantic Beach 2014. Everything happened on Myrtle Beach. The people that was there was nice. We didn't have an incident. I'm the one that basically ran 30th Street. I had a meeting with the police chief of Atlantic Beach, mm-hmm. Not every day, but if there was a situation, he would come to me and tell me what it was. If there was too many cups in the street or wherever, I would go and ask the people to move back behind the walls if they had a cup in their hand. So it was quite nice. I had a meeting every morning between 7 and 8 o'clock with the state troopers in the area that was patrolling Atlantic Beach. We didn't have a problem. And then SLED, I also had a meeting with them later on in the evening time just to touch base with whatever officer was closest to me to see what was going on. So everything was quite nice. We didn't have an incident. I don't even think that there was an arrest done dealing with the Bike Fest itself, because when the bikers get together, it's more like a family reunion compared to all of this other stuff that these people is portraying when it comes to this particular event that we're having that we call Black Bike Week or Bike Fest or Memorial Day Bike Week.
Okay. So what do you think about the governor of South Carolina saying there was no organization at Bike Fest 2014 and wanting to end Bike Week at Atlantic Beach?
Well, I have to shun on her for making that statement without having all the information that's provided to her if she would have took a look around and actually see what was going on. There's an organization to Bike Fest as of 2014 that I provided all the information. The flyers is online. Also, the schedule is online, and it's quite obvious. And I also didn't personally have a meeting with the Chamber of Commerce, but one of my assistant promoters did have several meetings with the Chamber of Commerce. Okay. Again, I had a meeting with Atlantic Beach a couple of times. Two of the main people from Atlantic Beach, I had a meeting with them. And again, I went and I did my due diligence in order to make sure that we had a nice bike fest, a safe bike fest, and it was promoted in a grand way. Now, with that said, some of the things that I had promoted for this event did not go through because the people at Atlantic Beach closed the street down for my car show, the white party and stuff like that. Okay. So again, sometimes we can be our own worst enemies. But that's no reason to shut this event down. Actually, it's more of a reason for us to join forces together in order to get this thing done and get it right and bring us back together as unity. Because this beach, this black beach, is the only black beach in the United States. And the reason this beach became was because there was no blacks allowed on Myrtle Beach or North Myrtle Beach in the 30s. So some doctors and some teachers got together in the 1930s and they purchased this property. And today the property is probably worth billions, but the actual sale of the property now is probably not worth much of anything. But if they can shut this beach down by pulling the charter on it, it will become very valuable property in the right investors' hands.
Okay. Now, do you think the unfortunate murders that occurred on Myrtle Beach Memorial Day weekend 2014 had anything to do with Bike Fest at Atlantic Beach?
Most definitely not. Most definitely not. My interview is online on WMBF TV, and it explains. I'm a statistics of being black. Most of us is statistics of being black. If we would have been another color, if we would have been white, we probably would have been millionaires and billionaires. Money doesn't make me. It doesn't move me. But for a lot of people, it does. In order for us to keep the violence down and to prevent the things from happening that happened at Myrtle Beach, we're going to have to give these young adults something to look forward to. Now, me with my organization, I have shown, it's documented, it's online. We just made it most public to the world now. Everybody knows who I am and what I do and what I've done. The things that you see online now is just a piece of the iceberg. It's not even that big, it's just about this big. And in order for us to do the things that we need to do in order to accomplish our goals and objectives, if we really want the violence to stop, if we really want these people to feel safe within their own homes, if we really want these people to love one another and others, we're going to have to show them that we care about them in the same manner. We have to do job training, education. We're going to have community service with these people. So we all know that we're all on the same page. Without this love and concern, it's going to continuously be the same thing each and every year. And you never know. It could be your family.
Right. Great. Would you please tell everyone why you think you should fight to preserve Bike Week at Atlantic Beach Memorial Day weekend?
Well, let's break it down. I was one of the first people to graduate from high school and college the same day. College before high school. Why? I don't know. We asked ourselves those questions. I was in a car accident in '98, almost got killed. Why am I still here? I don't know. I've been shot several times. Why am I still here? I don't know. I was in a fire, almost got killed. Why am I here? I don't know. College and high school the same day. College before high school. And automotive, dealing with motorcycle technology. One of the first blacks to ride on what they called then Black Bike Fest or Black Bike Week in Atlantic Beach. Okay, very significant. There's an article that's written in Life magazine called In the Eye of the Storm with Hurricane Hugo, 1989. The issue is September 1990. On the inside, two children of slaves working on the inside of this magazine. But on the cover of this magazine, you have two immigrants coming to the United States. Significant or not, I don't know. Let's just weigh that while we're considering everything else. My father dies on November the 30th. Two people come to me on December the 7th and tell me what the predicament is at Atlantic Beach, South Carolina. The significance, I don't know. So I go and I do my due diligence in order to provide a nice, safe, organized event for 2014. And I only had 5 months to do it in, mind you. No investors, except for two, for about $3,700 worth of investment. So everything else I did out of my pocket. All of the mind, all of the action, all of the work was done by myself. Finances, myself. So let's consider that. During the Bike Fest, the street closed off, couldn't put on my promotions, lost a lot of money. Significance. We still don't know. Let's just consider this. 3 people get killed on Myrtle Beach. But they want to contribute this to Atlantic Beach. Significance finally comes full circle. Everything leads to this black beach. For some reason, people want this beach for whatever reason. They claim that they don't want it, but we know that they want it because they've taken all of the other black property all up and down the coast. Golf courses, they have hotels, motels, plantation resorts, you name it, they have it. Mm-hmm. These black people could not afford to pay their taxes or what have you on the property. So now they don't have the property anymore. This is the last black stand in South Carolina, if you ask me. And it's the only black beach in the world, in the United States. So if they pull the charter, they lose their charter, they do what they want to do basically with this beach. Okay? Significance. Now, I explained to them when they closed the street down, I couldn't finish my events, that there was going to be something that was going to go on. I didn't know what it was. I can see these type of things. Why? I don't know. But 3 people get killed on Myrtle Beach. They contribute those killings to Atlantic Beach. Had nothing to do with it. The Bike Fest had nothing to do with the killings. These people that got killed, these young adults that got killed, lives in Charleston. They weren't part of a motorcycle club a motorcycle gang or anything, but they got killed. And the governor and them want to contribute these actions to Atlantic Beach and the promoters from Washington, D.C., which I was the #1 promoter, as we know, from Washington, D.C. So as you can see on WMBF TV, there was an interview, and I explained then the same things that I'm explaining to you now. In order for them to proceed and go forward with what they need to do, they have to shut this beach down because they have to lose their charter. This beach only makes money one time a year for Black Bike Fest, Memorial Day Bike Week, whatever you want to consider. They make money one time a week for 4 days, one time a year. Now, what have they done? They just put a new sports park right in North Myrtle Beach, an outdoor sports park. They do polo, golf, hockey, soccer, you name it. It's an outdoor sports arena. So if they can close this beach down and claim it and put condos and stuff or whatever they want to put on it, foreigners would buy that property for mega millions of dollars more than they would for North Myrtle Beach and Myrtle Beach because it's a historic area. And we know people love to buy historic areas. So they will pay whatever you charge them because they have the money in order to invest in this property. So what do we do to save this property? Number one, as people of color, we have to come together, stop fighting each other. We know that they're not going to give us anything, so anything we're going to do, we're going to have to do it collectively and conjointly. The corporations, the companies, no matter how small of a donation that you can make, you need to make it to either the Waker Foundation or www.bikersunited.us. Because as people, we need to get together and buy back the property that's rightfully ours. And we need to reinvest in it and save it and hold on to it. Now, with that said, when I got home, after all of these other things occurred, I went to Bill Parcells' induction into a Hall of Fame gala in New Jersey. A friend of mine invited me there. I met him for the very first time, and he has a testimony on my website. Mr. Sam, he invited me to New Jersey to the gala. Very nice gala. Everything was lovely. Met a lot of people there, high places. At the end of the day, the things that was done and said there was just excellent. You know. But then when I got home, a little girl told me that she had to recite a poem. At this time, when I was out of town, this little girl's birthday became right when I was coming home. This little girl tells me that she has a poem that she needs to recite. And that poem is at the bottom of this page. And it's an introduction to the rest of the end of this story. College before high school. First one to ride on the beach. Father's funeral. Atlantic Beach. Trying to be taken back by whatever forces. And then this little girl reciting this poem. At the end of this poem it states that we should do no less than our ancestors that came before us. I think this is very significant. I know that this is my feat. This little girl made sure that I knew where my piece and my part is in the universe. And that's probably one of the reasons that I'm still here today, is to make sure I save this little black beach at all costs.
Great. Before we end, is there anything else you would like to add?
As people of color, or any color, it really doesn't matter, we need to stop being selfish. We need to stop thinking about ourselves at each and all costs. I've invested a lot of time and money and thoughts into everything that I do. If you look me up on the website under my name, and it's on bikersunited.us, or you can look me up under my name, Joseph R. Waker Jr., and you can see some of the things that I've done over the past 30 years. These things that's been being done way before this point in history. How many people can say that they did this? I don't think anyone can say that they did that. So if we can reinvest in ourselves, stop thinking about ourselves, look for nothing back, and always giving and moving forward, we will be a much better people, and we'll be at a much better place than we've ever been before in the history of the United States.
Well, Mr. Joseph R. Waker Jr., I would like to thank you again for allowing us to come into your home and for a wonderful interview.
Thank you very much. Thank you.